Hey, good morning, folks. We are going to continue work on the Spelljammer Combat and Exploration art assets. We're currently working on character tokens for the Wizards of the Coast adventure Light of Xaryxis. And we've converted for use with the Spelljammer Combat and Exploration supplement that makes additional rules to the Spelljammer box set that Wizards released in August 2022. Give me a second here to go through my spiel and check my signal, make sure we're up and running, and then we'll get into some art. So hold on real quick. Make sure this is working. Check. Make sure this is working. Check. Make sure this is working. It sounds like it. Okay, cool. Let's see. Go through my spiel here real quick, and then we'll get started. So, hey, my name is Theurgy. I create role-playing game supplements that I publish online. I've been focusing my attention on Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, specifically on Spelljammer's Combat and Exploration, which is a new supplement to expand the rules for space combat and adventuring in 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons. There are a slew of other when it gets published, it'll be 100% free preview. There's a in the description down below, there's a slew of links of other works that I've already created that are also 100% free preview. You can click on any of those links to check out previous work that I have done. If you're on a desktop or tablet, then there'll be a full preview link underneath the book covers of each of the products. If you're on a mobile phone, there'll be an eye icon in the upper right hand side of the page. Click on the eye or the full link preview. Either way, it'll open up a PDF that you can look through 100% cover to cover, full document. Amongst the links that I have down below, there's probably about 150 different illustrations. So if you like my art, you're welcome to check it all out at your leisure. If you're a D&D enthusiast, the rules that I create are meant for both DMs and players to make use of in their campaigns as needed. So if you're a D&D enthusiast and you think some of this stuff is cool, consider making a purchase to support the channel in general. And otherwise, I've just posted that I'm live on Twitter at Philkearney, Filkearney. You can follow me to find when I am going live in the future. Otherwise, hitting like, subscribe, the bell icon is the best way to support the growth of the channel, to let YouTube know that long-form design is something that is of interest to the community in general. And by long-form design, we mean basically we build a document, so we find a need, which is additional rules for Spelljammer to have it feel better to be piloting ships in space than to hand-wave how space combat works in 5th edition. There's sensible mechanics available for us if we wanted to make use of them. It's just a matter of creating them, which is what we have done. So here's our 107-page document that we've been working through. And so we create ideas and mechanics that complement what we're trying to achieve. Remember a minute ago? We play test them. We then, once we're happy with how they are, we send them off to an editor. The editor comes back afterwards saying, here's how the text should here's what the text should say. And then from what it should be said, here's how it should look on the page if we're going to do layouts, which then creates holes in each page that we can fill with illustrations, charts, and tables, which we are currently in the process of producing. We're creating illustrations to go into the back 25 pages, which is the Light of Xaryxis conversion guide for using combat and exploration with Light of Xaryxis. So having said all that, my intro spiel is done. Let's get into some tokens. So we're gonna set a timer here for 20 minutes. We got about 100 minutes of playtime before I'm done for the morning, but then I'll be back in about 13 hours for us to then work on the Eberron map that we've been creating for the small village that the players can start their adventure in. We'll be working on that some more tomorrow as well. So stick around for tonight if you want to see more work in general. So I'm going to duplicate this layer here. I'm going to call it B-dub. I'm going to collapse that layer. conceal it. Right hand side is color. And we are going to put a new color layer. And that is the NPC that we are looking to grab color for. I don't know what that guy exists for. We're gonna get rid of that. Let's get rid of this. Let's get rid of this black here. There. Let's see here. What do we want to do? We want to create a base layer of color that we can then build on. I'm probably going to need to get a higher resolution image, but let's just see if there's consistent. I'm over here on the RGB looking for consistency in coloring. So it looks like there's this bluish thing going on in general. Well, there it's obviously not. So is that just the armor pieces? Looks like it. Looks like it. Yeah, you got this purplish going on with the actual armor itself. You see highlights, different type of purple. Well, I mean, you could probably see this because you guys probably see color. But I don't, so I have to play with this color bar up here, figure out where we're at. So that blue seems to be the base color that we've got going on. I wonder if, yeah, they even have like these body stocking gloves on. So let's, oh, that's what that layer was for color. So let's build a base. Oof, that's not a lot of variety. I like, here's my highlight. There it is. Not much of a highlight. All right, I'm gonna grab that there. I'm gonna call this ref. First thing we'll do is we'll just cover this guy in blue, just to block it in. I don't know if we'll get this colored in the 100 minutes that we have today or not, but I am working on the more mundane tokens like the passengers and the human crewmates and all the more boring stuff, but the more armored antagonists in the adventure or interesting crewmates that you can befriend. I'll reserve those for stream production like this one. It's a little bit more interesting to look at. I'll include like the Umber Hulk, and we'll probably do the Theurgy on stream here as well. That's coming up. We've started chewing on the formatting for the Light of Xaryxis conversion guide, and that's a bear. There's a lot of information we're trying to pack into a small space. So that's going to be an interesting challenge. Not quite ready to share. We'll be able to share that stuff on Saturday, like as usual for stream. Show you guys where we're at with the project, and it's just those back 25 pages. It's just a way of finding a consistency. The what am I trying to say? The formatting for the Light of Xaryxis adventure isn't necessarily the same. It isn't necessarily the same layout and font formatting that I want to use for the rest of the front 81 pages of technical documentation. They don't have to follow the same format, and they may not necessarily need to. I'm going to start with the format that we already have throughout the book, which is the default that we've used so far, just to see if it actually does work once we get everything sitting prettily. And if it does, then kudos. We can just go ahead and continue with that format. But if there's something about it that just seems off, then I will seek alternate formatting options to make sure I just like how the information sits on the page. We'll get into that on Saturday. We stream 6 days a week in the mornings, Monday through Saturday. We stream in the evening on Monday and Thursday. We stream at lunchtime on Tuesday. Put about probably about 16 hours a week on stream as a part-time gig that we work here building these things. There, I'm going to take a duplicate of this copy. Drop that down to there. It's easy to start with just a blanket color, just to box the whole thing in, just so you can be sure you know how it's sitting on the page, if you like the silhouette. The advantage of doing just the black silhouette start instead of line art for your sketching is that you immediately see how well the form of the creature NPC fills the space. We've kind of just been guessing with this line art method how well it fills the space, but it fills the space pretty well. I'm trying to have a unique enough silhouette between each of the tokens that none of them can accidentally, that you can't mistake one for another just from the silhouette. But like in the case of the slave crewmate for the Neogi versus the the refugee commoners and human crewmate that you have aboard in the first act, those are actually fairly similar. So I have very similar silhouettes for them. They aren't really important to distinguish from one to another, but the elven soldiers versus the plasmoid explorers, very different silhouettes. Finish getting this blocked in. I could have selected, I could have done a select like this and then invert, but I like the manual process of filling this in. I'm going to have to visit this space in this manual format as it is once we get into the highlights and shading process of the illustration. So I don't mind accumulating. It's a slower approach, but I don't mind accumulating that experience of familiarity with just moving around inside of this space. And there's one thing to create. There's one thing to create the line art, and for that to be your illustration. But if I'm going to have to come back here and colorize it, which I am, then spending more time to become more familiar with how the line art feeds into each other just by moving through the space is useful. It gets me used to where am I going to, this is a little hang up spot here, this little pinch, this little inlet. Little details that can get lost in just a blanket select all inverts, right? Saw Ant-Man the Wasp Quantumania last night streaming on Disney. Did not see it in the theater, just never got around to it, and it disappeared before I turned to take a look. And I was like, oh crap, it's gone. So it's finally on Disney Gave it a watch. My least favorite of the three Wasp movies. My favorite was number 2. Number 1 was my second pick, and then number 3 was my last. Guardians of the Galaxy was like that too. I like the second Guardians of the Galaxy more than the first, and I like the third least. And that seems to be a trend going on. I mean, Wakanda's only had 2 so far, but the first was far better than the second, I'd say. It just doesn't seem like they know where they're going. They're introducing a lot of stuff narratively, but I don't think they have any real direction as to where it's going. I mean, it's obviously this. Well, spoiler alerts for anyone that isn't aware. All right, clearing the gate of spoilers. It's my humble opinion that even though they've got Kane set up to be the next super villain that we're dealing with, it's just, I don't think they have any heart in any of these new characters. I think they're rotating out of old characters more quickly than we would normally see in, like, say, the comic books. So we have less time to invest emotionally in the characters that we just spent a decade becoming emotionally invested in. And now they're getting rid of them because the actors want to do something different, or the studio wants to change the identity of whoever it is that's on the screen, and that causes them to cycle out of the old actors in the roles and create, either create new roles or put new actors in the same role. And I think that's what they're really trying to figure out. They don't have that problem with comic books because the personality of the character is obviously just written. So there is no contracts to deal with how much you want to depict a character looking a certain way. It's just the artist creating more panels, but the actors aspire to be more than the heroes that they're depicting in the movie. So once they're done with their gig, a lot of them are just thinking, I want to move on to the next bit. And I understand that studios try to lock down actors for multiple films, but like even Tom Holland's exiting out of Spider-Man. I don't know. We'll see where it goes. As much plot and story that comics have accumulated over the past 50 years or whatever, 60 years, it's they're going to have a hard time establishing that long-term identity with anyone that they're working with. Doing some spot corrections here, some cleanup. I'm not used to working in this low resolution. It's choppy. Real choppy. The reason I have to do this in the first place is because I get fatigued working on the line art, and at some point I'm like, good enough, but it's not. It's not actually good enough. Because we come through and colorize this thing, we have to do all this fucking cleanup. Which I failed to address at the time. Hence the term good enough. It always comes back to bite me if I don't take the time. What? Oh, Jesus, fuck. Serious? How did my line art not get a... Alright, let's go to image, and then adjustments, brightness, contrast. Image, adjust, brightness, darkness. No. Ugh, fucked up big time. Gooder. %, gooder. Ah, my first 20-minute block. Excellent. Ba-ba-ba-ba. Good. All right. I'm happy with that for now. Something's locking up in my computer here. All right, cool. Initial blocking is done. Let's see. Do that. Huh. Right. Where are my highest lights? There we go. See. Cloth. Erase that. Let's grab. Yeah, we're gonna grab that color. I can't tell the difference between this and this. this and this, they're very, very close. Like they're like 5% apart out of 255 pixels. They're very similar. Very similar. So I can't use those as my base. I have to use this highlight as my armor base. Otherwise I won't be able to distinguish, you know, this from the rest of it because of the tone. I think I'm happy with this two-tone approach more than anything else. Let's see. That's a good start. Considering my next move, let's go into shadows and highlights here to see what kind of progress we can make. Go to shadow. Yeah, we can like that. There. there. That looks pretty good. Very good. I'm sure that sword is going to be a different color. We'll get to it when we get to it. Sword straps and buckles. Those are things I know we're going to end up changing the colors on, but now I'm okay with just making this mess and cleaning it up after ourselves. Do-do-do-do-do. And once we have all these highlights spotted in and like all the gradients, and then we'll merge down the black and white layer, and we will integrate the line art into the color by basically just blending it in, essentially. do like that. Check, 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 check. Okay. Let's go to this here. We'll probably just get away with that. Checking in on this. Hey, great. We're doing A-okay so far. Good. Barrel. You see the foreshortening here is a little wonky, but I think I'm okay with it. Yeah, no complaints here. No complaints. Not very intense cell shading. Fade in here. God, where's my face? Jesus. Come on, dude. I think we're doing okay there. Let's duplicate this layer and merge it down there. Let's duplicate this layer, merge it down there. Let's go fetch some color. Yeah, okay, we'll have to take that as the best reference we have. For the other. starting to feel like there's no need for that anywhere else. I think I'm pretty happy. All right, so now the question is, can I bind this down into a single layer and improve it through a little bit of rendering? Just drop the opacity a bit to get rid of some of the edge. All right, let's give it a go. I'm going to duplicate this layer. I'm going to group it all. I'm going to duplicate the group. I'm going to bond the group by merge into a single layer. So now I can just, fuck with the whole thing in mass. So that's what I'm about to do. And if this ends up being a mistake, we can just go back to where we were and approach it from a different direction. come back in and figure out what the colors are supposed to be on this line work here. Overall, I'm pretty happy with this. So far, so good. Good. What's that, 70? Yeah, 70 some odd percent. That feels pretty good. This is a much higher strength and smudge. Normally when I'm smudging, I'm operating like anywhere from 30 to 50%, but with this low pixel count, it feels like I have to up the strength to push all the pixel to where I need it to be. It's not like I have as much buffer with a higher DPI. The lower resolution forces me to push the pixels further harder with less drag, so it doesn't, because it has a higher chance of looking smudgy, like actually like smudged, as opposed to blended. That's what I'm trying to say. Thank you. Oh yeah. 40 minutes left. That's great. I think we have a legit chance of being done with this. in the next 40 minutes? Yeah. I don't want to get cocky or nothing, but I'm feeling pretty confident. Just moving along the anatomy, top to bottom. I spy with my eyes someone writing some text. Give me a moment here for me to resolve this mark. And let's see what we got going on over here. Hold on. What's up? Gabby, hello. Gabby, doing great. We're making progress with making some tokens. What could be any better? What could be any better? I had a great weekend. Feel recharged and ready to attack the week. The weekday, not like, you know, weak people. Attack the week. I feel like attacking the week. I'm so recharged from the weekend, I want to bully people. Not as such. How you doing, Gabby? What's new with you? Blend that all in. That was all bonded as a single layer, so that I can smooth the line art into the overall form, so it doesn't look so much like just outlined color, you know, so that the outline kind of blends with the actual colors being used. It should be up in the 70s. On the lit side, on the up facing or the highlighted side, I don't need nearly as much line art because the color itself will carry the language of the illustration. But the undersides, I can have more dark line to help add weight and darkness to that lower portion, so it feels more like a shadow space. You're thinking about reading the Pathfinder 2 core rulebook somewhere, some more? Right on, right on. If 5e is grabbing your attention, go for it. Absolutely. It'll be interesting to see if I ever do any Pathfinder work. I've done some illustrations for the Wayfinder magazine, but no design work yet. Love 5e, but I'm looking for something with a little more character customization. You mean like options and action loops, like different depth of combat role decision making, perhaps. Character depth is a pretty general term. Character customization. That kind of implies more combat options or like different loops. Which I definitely respect. Fits the bill. I'm right on. What is it? What is it about 5e that's fitting? So I can make a bunch of assumptions, but options for combat and role playing. Do you mean like styles of combat, like I was saying, action, like the action loop, like I can consistently spend 2 actions per round doing this result versus using 3 actions to do X, Y, and Z each round. Like that's like those are combat loop options. It certainly seems like that Paizo's interested in finding more ways to use the action economy that they have in their game to create different types of action loops and like character focal points. I'm not super up on Pathfinder 2. Like 5e doesn't seem very interested in expanding what type of actions you can take, but more interested in like the identity of the different characters through their subclass options, as opposed to really seeming to expand on like expanding on reactions or expanding on bonus actions for like magic effects and stuff like that. They don't seem particularly interested in fleshing out all the action economy that's available to a character inside of a round of combat. I think PF is far more interested in finding those nooks and crannies. If you do a single class in 5e and subclass, say Drake Warden, sure, there isn't much to separate you from other Drake Warden. Right. But there's only like one type of ranger in PF, right? I mean, they have archetypes, but that's I think they have archetypes, if I recall correctly. But if I recall, it's less of an identity. Like those feat choices are less of an identity to your character in Pathfinder than the subclass archetype that you choose in 5e. Like everything in 5e kind of hinges on that subclass, but it, like all the mechanical diversity for a ranger is inside that subclass, but that diversity doesn't really mean a lot in 5e. It's still basically just a ranger. Where Pathfinder is like, if you don't want to be a ranger, you could be like 30 different classes. I think that's interesting. We're working our way down this body. When you're illustrating like this, you start at the top, you just work your way down. Just render through, and by the time you hit the bottom of the page, then you know the full thing's rendered. Someone's working on it, but it's really on. Yeah, good luck. I think what we've built here would probably transfer over to the 3-action economy system pretty easily, but more power to. Well, I mean, that's interesting. Are they just building off of Starfinder? The kind of interesting that they're rebuilding, that someone would rebuild the wheel for Paizo stuff in general. Well, I guess PF2 is the only one that has the 3-action economy. Like Starfinder doesn't have that. I think just like mechanically, generally, I think PF2 isn't so foreign from other 5e that isn't fairly easy to port over to the D20 aspects of it. Good. Heartinge. I don't know what Heartinge is. It's very early on. Every level you get something. Let's smudge that out. Rebuild this from scratch. Be a goblin that can eat garbage, with fire resistance, or a goblin that builds a snow. Oh, sure. Yeah. That's great. I hope it pans out for you. Yeah, PF's definitely pretty cool. There. This. There. I'm going to get down to our last 20 minutes here pretty quickly, I can tell. Ha! How about that for timing? I'm starting to know this 20-minute marker pretty damn well, unfortunately. Pretty easy for me to feel it coming. With me setting these 20-minute timers every day is really providing me experience in acknowledging the passage of 20 minutes. Your body gets pretty good at anticipating that sort of thing. That's pretty funny. I am missing text. Hey, that's a great name too. Spring the Water Genocide. That's fantastic. Love it. Let's do this. There. I might finish this off screen tonight. I'll be back. I'm going to be back tonight for in about 11 and a half hours ish, 11-ish hours to continue with the Eberron cartography. But I think since I'm so far along in the document portion of the layouts for this book, I'm getting to a point where a lot of my off-screen time isn't being devoted towards page layout, but instead continuing with illustrations. I can only do so many hours a day here on stream, but that doesn't mean that I'm not also doing work off-screen as well. So I'll be doing more and more of that for these assets that we're producing here as I get further and further down the document and running out of things to do other than illustration, which I'm actually very excited about. I prefer illustrating over anything else. The whole point of it. Keep falling off the screen. I'm having a hard time keeping my face on screen today. I don't know why. This is all very, so far so good. Good. Oh man, this thing's coming together. I'm happy with it. Clink. Hey. Right on. Very cool. I probably need another hour to futz around with this for me to be really, really happy with it. And I'm not going to have that time this morning. I only got about 10 minutes left today. I don't really want to come back and work on this again tomorrow. If I run out of time, I will. But I think I should be able to have this finished up tonight on my own time. Probably after working on the Everon cartography, I'll come back around and finish this up before sleep. No. No. Yes. No. No. Yes. Yes? Yes. Grabbing those pixels, it's a challenge for me. Let's like that. Do something with this sword here. Metal it up a bit. Metal. We'll get to that as a separate layer. It'll be pretty. Here. Super close done to today's session. Sloppy over there. There we go. There. Yeah. Cha-cha. All right. That is it for the day. I'm pretty happy with that. It needs more. It needs more contrast, highlights. But the base of it is pretty strong, so I'm happy with how it looks overall. Like I said, I need to come back in and hit it with more highlights and some diversity. Yeah. Like get some glossy reflection stuff going on along this armor here, so it stands out more. with more material contrast than the underlying tufts of garment. So it has that difference in texture and material quality. But overall, I'm very, very happy with where we're at right now with this. Won't take much for me to be able to, I think, create that diversity. So yeah, I just got to go through and do some more, just bold it up a bit, and that's going to take a little time. So I'll be back in 11 hours to work on Eberron cartography for a couple hours, and I will be back in 22 hours to continue more Light of Xaryxis tokens like this. This should be done. We should probably be moving on to like the pilot or elf soldiers. I'm not sure what we'll work on next. Whatever's next in the stack. But certainly hoping to have, yeah, this should be done, no problem. There. All right, guys, that's it. I'm out. I'm out for the day. That's time. Hit save. And we will be back in 11. So I'll see you in 11 hours. Thanks a lot for sticking around. Again, I hope spring turns out well. And Hornetical, I hope you're having a great night too, man. And looking forward to seeing y'all later on. Cheers.